market. Dilip, great having you. Thanks so much for taking the time out. From a market's perspective, Dilip, does this vote on account change anything at all, or does the market look forward to the actual elections and the actual budget after that?
Thanks a lot, Neeraj. I think it doesn't really change the perspective at all. I think some of the facts are very well known. I think some of the reliefs which the budget has provided in terms of for the automobile sector. So, automobile sector generally has a tendency to have multiplier impact on the economy. So that sector is very well chosen that if at all something happens, it can give a good push to the economy. But by and large, I think more or less we were expecting most of the figures and most of the parameters that fiscal deficit is going to be reined in. Now, I think what is more important is that the fiscal deficit is reined in, and of course the current account deficit is reined in. But that usually comes at a cost, and we all know that it comes at a cost of growth. So I think even going forward, if you are going to push the fiscal deficit down to 4.1%, I think the challenge will be that how do you really revive the growth, because you're cutting down on the planned expenditure. So I think those are some of the very well-known statements which we all understand. But how we are going to navigate that and really bring about a growth will really remain a challenge. So in the short term to medium term, I think short term particularly, markets will remain a sell on the rise markets, and maybe just a pre-election rally is what we can expect as more and more poll predictions really come into play.
That's interesting that you say that you're looking at the market as a sell on rise a kind of trade, because the couple of soundbites that we've got on the show so far is really the downside to the market is protected. So you're almost playing a range from now up till the elections, when perhaps a fresh figure for the market's direction could come by. What would to your mind be that feasible range where you can play the upside as well as downside, but within that specified band?
So I think on the downside, markets remain vulnerable to travel right down to 5,800, around those levels. And maybe on the upside, I think 6,400 or 500 should be a little too optimistic a target, but still I think 6,400 is something which we went up to at the time of the last assembly election. So run up to the elections, maybe we will see some kind of a rally happening. Maybe 6,400 is on the upper side. So that's broadly the range that we are looking for. But in the near term, I think markets probably will remain in a very limited range.
Also, what would you play as a theme from now up till the elections, given just the excitement there is about a party being favored or coming out with a majority, and also the fact that some of these macro risks that the finance minister has highlighted have actually the numbers on whether it's on the fiscal deficit, on the current account deficit, have not looked as bad. So from that perspective, what is the one theme that you would play? Is it the auto space, cap goods space, given that the focus is going to be investment?
Well, I think since everybody is really lamenting about how the growth has really fallen off and how the GDP growth still continues to be a dog as far as the overall growth is concerned. So I think the expectations from the new government definitely remains in terms of how what kind of physical development in terms of infrastructure or capital goods may really happen, and what kind of investments is going to happen to revive the growth. So I think following the same logic, I think it will still be the capital goods, the construction space, and possibly something on the banking front. Automobile always remains to be a reasonable good bet on a selective basis, whether a new government comes or doesn't come. I think overall automobile will still continue to be a little better off irrespective. So I think these two will continue to be the theme which probably I think a lot of investors will be looking forward to.
Okay, I think we need to focus a bit on M&M with what's happening around that stock. Dilip, just that thing, SUVs, the rate was cut, benefits M&M quite a bit. They're getting into the small cars bit as well. So I think this was tailor-made for Mahindra and Mahindra. The stock is up 3.5%. I want to just focus a bit on the specifics. How positive are you on this stock? Because the subsidiaries are doing very well. So as a sum of parts, it's probably a very exciting stock to be in.
Quite right, Neeraj. I think the M&M is definitely the maximum beneficiary because it has got the entire basket of products. So I think they have really benefited in terms of the relief which the vote on account has really offered. But more important is that the key segments like the tractor segment and the SUV segment possibly are still doing much better than the rest of the pack, so which is a sort of a good tailwind for the company. And also on the raw material front, I think they are still significantly better off because the raw material prices have not really gone anywhere. And as what you very rightly also put it, that the subsidiaries are also doing well, whether it's M&M Finance or whether it is Tech Mahindra. I think all of them are doing pretty well. So M&M still continues to look very interesting, though I think a lot of it is priced in. But from here on also you can expect at least about 12 to 15% return. But more important, M&M does provide a good amount of defense to your portfolio. So in an overall mix, I think M&M ranks very high in terms of investments.
Okay, Dilip, just stay on. Just need to get in some small cap trading ideas as well with the market trading in the day's eye. Ashwini, anything that you're recommending? The market is trading in the day's eye. Okay, Mitesh, I'll just come to you for a quick view on the Nifty as well. Are you taking any positions because we are closing in the day's eye?
Yes, Neeraj. In fact, I think there has been some positive crossover of indicators and averages on the intraday chart. So I would suggest selling into a 6,000 strike put at about 28 rupees. Keep a stop below spot levels of 60.45, and I think as the market moves up, the 28 rupees should come down to about 15 to about 12 rupees in the next few days.
Just one quick word on the power companies as well. By the way, Tata Power was anyways up. Look at Adani Power, look at JP Power. I don't know if it's what's happened in Delhi and the resultant impact on the power names, but with the market closing in the day's eye, a lot of these power companies are doing very, very well. Tata Power, Adani Power, JP Power, all of these will come up on your screen. Some really good moves which have come in here. What we'll do is take a very quick break. Dilip Bhat is with us, our technical experts are with us. We come back, take you to the final 10 minutes of trade, and maybe get in a couple of recommendations from Dilip Bhat as well.
In association with Binani Cement for generations to come. Max Bupa Health Insurance.
The jury has made a brilliant choice. The Grand is the Indian car of the year. Now that's
Hyundai.
Doctor, you're a funny man. लो, मेरा फैमिली एडवाइजर आ गया।
अरे तुम्हारा फैमिली डॉक्टर तो मैं हूँ। ये फैमिली एडवाइजर कौन है भाई?
भाई जैसे तुम मेरी हेल्थ का ख्याल रखते हो, वैसे ही मेरी वेल्थ का ख्याल रखता है मेरा फैमिली एडवाइजर, मेरा एसएमसी। एसएमसी, इंडियाज अवार्ड विनिंग ब्रोकर जो रखे आपके निवेश का ख्याल। एसएमसी, मनी वाइज, बी वाइज।
अकेले तो ये देश बना नहीं, हमने एक दूसरे का साथ दिया, तभी तो बना ये भारत। सड़कें हमने बनाई, पर मुसाफिरों को खाना तो सबने मिलकर ही खिलाया। तमाम अस्पताल हमने बनाए, पर लोगों को जिंदगी तो सबने मिलकर ही दी। पोलियो अभियान हमने चलाया, पर सारी मुश्किलों के बावजूद अपने बच्चों को बूथ तक तो पहुंचाया सबने मिलकर ही। मेट्रो का ताना बाना हमने बुना, पर उसे घर जैसा सजाया संवारा तो सबने मिलकर ही। लाखों स्कूल हमने खोले, पर बच्चों को मौका तो सबने मिलकर ही दिया। खाद्यान्न सुरक्षा कानून हमने लागू किया, पर उस अनाज से फौलाद बनाने का सिलसिला तो सबने मिलकर ही जारी रखा। मोबाइल नेटवर्क से देश को बांधा हमने, पर देश की सीमा पर अपनों को हौसला तो सबने मिलकर ही दिया। कुछ यूं ही हमने मिलकर बढ़ाया देश को तरक्की की राह पर। तो क्यों ना कहें, हम सब ने मिलकर बनाया ये भारत। भारत निर्माण का यही प्रमाण, जन जन को छुआ, जनजीवन बदला।
Dun 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 dun.
Fastest bookings?
Dun 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 dun.
Plan changed. Instant refund. Lowest hotel prices? Lowest hotel prices, instant refund, fastest flight bookings. Go to goibibo.com. Bookings done, done, done. Done.
Welcome back. You're still watching our coverage of the interim budget 2014, agenda 2014, that is, the vote on account. And just want to address the markets which haven't reacted to the event at all, been largely range bound, but some stock-specific activity has been dominant in the session so far. So you're looking at the market being at about 60, 70. BF Utilities should come up on your screens. I think that one is locked in circuit. There's financial technologies as well, which has been locked in circuit as well. So these are some stocks that have been active. Cox & Kings, Finolex Cables, Finolex Industries, these are some of the other names which have been active. Natco Pharma has picked up momentum from the broader markets. Escorts should come up on your screens as well. Institutionally held, there's a lot of interest in this one. Amtech Auto, that one has also picked up in the session. Finolex Industries is up about 5.5%. Escorts is up 4%. Peninsula Land is down about 6%, and ABG Shipyard, we've seen traction in this stock a little while back, but that one is down 5% as well. That's 10% up on Amtech Auto as we speak. As we close down trade in another 10 minutes, Ashni, I'll come to you first for your small cap strategies if you have any, and then we'll talk about closing strategies as well.
Well, JM Financial is a buy with a stop of 22, target of 34. Amtech Auto is a buy with a stop of 84, target of 96. And Shanti Gears is a buy with a stop of 59, target of 72.
Okay, those are of course some of Ashwini's small cap strategies. Mitesh, come to you on your closing strategies.
See, I think Adani Ports, I think, that's the stock which is giving a breakout. My sense is that it's starting a short-term up move and can go up to about levels of 160, 161. So buy this one with a stop below 147.
Ashwini, your top closing strategy?
Well, CESC is coming out of some sort of a correction. So out there we can, buy with a stop around 420. Look for a retest of levels of 455, 460.
By the way, NMDC is down 5%, of course, the dividend factor coming to play out here, but that stock is down 5% in trade. Dilip, I was going to ask you about the power names and what's happened here. Is it merely the Delhi government impact that's being seen in some of the power names, or is there more to it?
Well, I think it's very difficult to read beyond that at the moment because there are no fresh inputs available, and maybe I didn't follow the VOA vote on account speech of Chidambaram so closely, or whether he has mentioned something out over there in terms of making the gas availability or making some of those things, in terms of the clearances. So maybe if he has said something, but otherwise I think on a macro basis probably it is just a reaction for a one or two news which probably might be around the corner. But one should still remain a little more apprehensive on all these power stocks because there is no clarity as of yet, and I think those things will continue to dog this particular stocks for some more time to come.
You read the VOA quite correctly, Dilip. I guess it's when the stocks were up since the morning, at least Tata Power was. Dilip, one more pocket, and non-VOA is the auto component space. Amtech Auto is a case in point today, but we've had a Bharat Forge, we've had a Motherson Sumi, and Amara Raja Batteries, some of the tire names. They've had splendid runs over the last 12 months. Do you still like this pocket because the currency factor also aids them?
Sure, I think Motherson Sumi and Bharat Forge, Motherson Sumi in particular, have really shown that how despite the acquisitions, they have been delivering results year after year, quarter on quarter on a YY basis. Despite acquisitions, they are still recording an ROEs in excess of around 25%, generating a reasonable amount of free cash. So they have really been doing all the right things at the moment, and that's why probably it continues to be on the top of the investors list. Bharat Forge probably is on a very firm recovery track at the moment, also aided by the currency, but they have been really coming out after a long time in the wilderness. So I think these two stocks in particular have been performance driven as far as I am concerned. I think the tire companies are really benefiting because of the rubber prices, and if you were to see the most of the companies' turnover, their net worth, and if you were to compare their turnover to market cap and all, I think they really were always looking a lot more undervalued. They really require some kind of tailwind, which probably right now is available in terms of the raw material prices easing off. So that really explains why tire companies, particularly Apollo, which really had an acquisition on its as its shadow. So I think that probably behind the back at the moment. So I think even Apollo has really moved quite ahead, even shared tires for the same reasons. I think they have really done pretty well. So I think the auto pack, especially the auto components, they have been having some specific reasons also why they are really doing so well.
All right, we're just getting, keep an eye out for the Nifty futures, while the spot Nifty is at about, I think, 80 now. You're looking at the market picking up a few more points. M&M, of course, has been a key contributor with the kind of surge that the stock is seeing. The Bank Nifty is also picking up a little bit, so 0.6% higher, but keep an eye out for the Nifty. 60-80 as we speak, and I think the futures are at 6100 thereabouts, or at least nudging that mark, so to speak. I just wanted to address Dilip, financial technologies and MCX. The amendment of the FMC Act is likely to strengthen the commodity market, and you're looking at FT locked-in circuit. MCX also, as we speak, picking up momentum.
So even I was trying to figure out the impact of that. I think very broadly, I think with the regulation which probably Chidambaram was talking about, I think it probably will mean that MCX ultimately will get disposed of or sold off. So that probably will help financial technologies in the short run, and probably they will be able to get some kind of the impact of monetization. So I think beyond that, it's very difficult to see reasons at the moment. But MCX still remains a fairly good bet even from the current levels.
Dr. ICICI Bank incidentally is up and about in the session today. Dilip, private banks or private NBFCs have done very, very well. Of course, I mean, the news bits about by the month end we'll see some the Bimal Jalan committee recommendations on the new bank licenses is a separate thing. But all private banks are up and about today. Do you like this space as a whole, because it's quite different from the problems that the PSU banks are going through?
I think Neeraj, private sector banks really find a lot of favor, and they have been favorite now for quite some time, and they still continue to find favor. I think a lot of people are really much more sanguine about the NPAs and the quality of the assets in private sector banks, which unfortunately cannot be said about the PSUs, which continues to negatively surprise, though everybody thought that the worst might be over. So I think on that particular front, because after all, when you talk about banking, it's not just about the profits, it's also how the quality of the assets is going to pan out. And I think as far as the ROAs are concerned and ROEs are concerned, they are also slightly better for the private sector banks. But I think PSU banks continue to remain pretty attractive, even from the current levels, the way they have really lagged behind. So I would also try to have a look at select PSU banks and not just the private sector banks.
Speaking of banks, ICICI at the day's high, Dr. Reddy's is at the day's high, so a stock each to both of our experts. Ashwini, to you first, ICICI Bank at the day's high. Are there trades here?
See, this is a pullback rally in the entire bank nifty, private bank, PSU bank, everything is going through a pullback rally. At higher levels, you should, try to get short again. Maybe not today, tomorrow. Maybe post some more rally. Chances are that we may not cross 1030, 1050 so easily, but definitely it's too early to say that they have bottomed out and they should be bought for the short term.
Okay, Tanvi, you just asked Mitesh about Dr. Reddy's. It's closing in at the day's high. I would presume just pull up the intraday of Dr. Reddy's. ICICI is up trading in the day's high. DRL2 up 70 bucks, 2650. Mitesh, I know you. Tanvi just asked you about DRL. Just wondering, as a closing strategy, would you buy Dr. Reddy's at 2650?
Yes, Neeraj, as I said, I think, first the stock can be bought now, and once it starts breaking above 2690, because the structure is very positive, it's bounced back from weekly support areas. So if it goes beyond 2690, I would even advise traders to double up or add on to existing long positions. Once that breakout happens, I do expect the stock to head towards 2800.
All right, gentlemen, let's start winding up the market. As we've been highlighting and as most market participants believed, the market pretty much shrugged off the vote on account and the interim budget speech laid out by the finance minister. But on balance, the last 15 minutes, we're seeing an attempted pullback coming in from the lows in the session, and from the range that the market has broadly been struggling with all of today's session. So that's been about 30, 40 odd points. But we're at the higher end of that range in the dying minutes of trade. The reaction has been more pronounced with the auto space, especially M&M, with excise duty cuts coming across the board for that sector. And you're looking at M&M closing at the day's highs, in lieu of that pronouncement. 934 coming in for M&M. Tata Power, of course, and the entire power space has been in focus as well. So 5% up there. Dr. Reddy's has picked up momentum. There's HDFC, Hero Motor Corp, HDFC Bank. So the entire banking space, and as Ashwini highlighted, a bit of a pullback really helping. A pullback in the bank nifty is helping the banking space at large. IndusInd Bank, these are some of the names which are picking it up. Maruti Suzuki also closing in with almost a % gain. You're seeing NTPC show some traction. Ambuja Cement has done okay for itself. So these are some of the stocks which have gained. NMDC dividend adjustment, ex-dividend, and so you're looking at the price come off by 4.5%. There's Jayaprakash Associates, which is down about 2% in the session. Coal India, Hindalco, they have been the weak spots in the market. So has Reliance Industries, which is down about 1.5%. Bank of Baroda has been a bit weak. There's been more strength, just to add, in the private banking space. So the pullback rally is perhaps more pronounced there, but notwithstanding, SBI, Bank of Baroda are also trying to close off the day's lows. Sesa Sterlite is a bit weak as well. Tata Motors, Tata Steel, you're not looking at the M&M effect, at least on Tata Motors in the session.
No, we aren't, but the M&M effect, yes indeed, 3.5% closing in the day's high, so that's a strong move for Mahindra and Mahindra. And aside, Amtech Auto, 10.5% higher. There is strength in Cox and Kings after the numbers, 4.5%, not related to the vote on account at all. The power names have done well. So in addition to Tata Power, Adani Power as well as JP Power have had a very good day. Jet Airways has flown high today, 3.5% up, not bad going. TVS Motors is up 3% in trade today, so again not bad going. Conflicting moves seen in Voltas and Crompton Greaves. Mind you, typically they move in tandem, but in today's session it's quite the opposite. Voltas is up 2.5%. Crompton hasn't quite managed to do that, down 2.5%. Telecom as a basket is looking weak. Non-index, there is Tata Communication, Arcom and Idea. All three stocks have fallen today, so not the best of days for Telecom as a pack. Sonata Software and Tata Elxsi from the mid-cap IT space, as well as FT and MCX haven't done too badly either. So, good moves at large. Losers, if any, yep, I mean, a couple of them actually have like a broader market space. There's a Punj Lloyd which is down 4.5%. Then Jubilant Life is down close to 3.5%, but few and far in between really. The markets at large, of course, at close, we're seeing the markets closing in almost at the highest point of the day. Not bad going. 6079 or 6080, I heard Mitesh referring to some bit of a positive crossover. Don't know if it'll take it higher or no, but 6080 for the Nifty, not bad going. The only index in the red is the CNX small cap index. So all in all, not a bad reaction to the vote on account.
Oh yes, indeed. In fact, a very different one coming in, given the history of vote on account days for the market. So just want to highlight that flash as well, because in today's session we closed in higher by about 0.5% for the index. In 2004-2005, on the vote on account day, the market actually lost 2%, and in 2009-2010, on the vote on account day, the market actually lost about 3%. So in that sense, this is a bit of an aberration where the market has actually closed at the highest point of the session.
Final comments from Dilip. Dilip, up until now, until the elections, would you still be in a buying mode, or would you stay on the sidelines until the new government takes shape?
Well, I think Neeraj, I would really start looking at the market maybe towards the end of March, because the March factor also will come into play. So till that time, I'm not very gung-ho about the markets. But I do expect that by towards the end of March, we should see a reasonable pre-election rally, as what I understand. So I think I will play for that, not immediately.
All right, Dilip. Thanks for that. And thanks for giving us your opinion this afternoon. Really appreciate your time. Ashni, come to you. Closing at the high point of the session pretty much, or at least, this has been a